we work there here. But do you want to start? Do you want to share your screen so we can just get going? I can let them in.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you, Joe, for having me on DMC Finder's destination location tonight. So my name's Lynn, and I am the founder and co-partner and principal for Luxperia. So what Luxperia is a collective of destination management companies across Asia. Myself, I'm based here in Vietnam. And so tonight I'll have the pleasure of presenting Vietnam to you all. I see Albert's joined and we've got Ruby online. So thank you for your attendance. This presentation is being recorded. And so once we've completed, there will be some questions and answers. And I'll be sharing you details on what's happening in Vietnam at the moment and some of the new hotspots that are occurring post-COVID, so that travelers can commence to rebook their travel, reconsider coming to Vietnam and joining us here. So like I mentioned, Luxperia is based in Ho Chi Minh City, but our breadth is across Asia as a collective network. And you'll see on dmcfinder.com that we've got a lot of destinations across Asia. So I'm very, very proud to spearhead all of those destinations. But tonight it's all about Vietnam. So I'm going to commence my presentation. And while I may be presenting on Vietnam as a whole, I will be also demonstrating about what has happened during COVID and what it's going to be like post-COVID as well. So with that, I'll just start to share my screen, if I may.
Fabulous.
So I'll just share my screen, and hopefully you'll be able to see this in uno momento.
Yeah, amazing.
So we've got about 35 minutes to go through the presentation. And so I will be going through fairly quickly, but hopefully I'll have a lot of questions answered. So let's start off with who we are, the contents of this afternoon, what's the need to know or the important bits about Vietnam, obviously a map because it's a destination overview, as well as what's beyond and how to get in contact with us, and a few hard facts towards the end. So let's start. Between myself and my colleagues and the other owner-operators across the Luxperia Collective around Asia, we have a combined over 120 years worth of experience working in this field. Myself, I've been doing it for the better part of 2 decades. I know I look young, but I'm not. And we work with high-end event planners and travel agents across the world. But the way that we work is we like to mix culturally diverse landscapes, offer the best service. We consider ourselves very sustainably conscious in terms of responsible travel. And by that, we work with a lot of local guides, experts in the field. And like I mentioned, every single one of our collective members are owner-operators. They're people who have positioned and based themselves in every destination and support the local community by hiring local staff and training and developing the local staff. So that's where the collective comes from. So in terms of where we work and how we work, we primarily aim to design really unique, once-in-a-lifetime style events and unique experiences across the board, depending on whether you're a couple traveling privately or a MICE or incentive group between 20 to 200 people. So let's do an overview. So first of all, officially, the country's name is the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. And we share our borders with Cambodia, Laos, as well as China. And this is really important because when COVID happened, Vietnam was the first to react and the first to act proactively against COVID. So very fast, the country locked down. And thankfully, Vietnam's done a really, really great job as to how it's worked towards preventing COVID from spreading. I'll share a little bit more along the presentation. So in terms of the country, its shape is like an S. So it's got 330,000 square kilometers with about 3,500 kilometers of coastline, which opens up to the Southeast Sea. So it's home to some of the largest UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which you can read further with Sondung Cave, which is the world's largest cave. Capital city being Hanoi, as well as the official language being Vietnamese. So approximately our population nowadays is around 95 million people. And the asterisk is there to remind me that what's important is that while Vietnam has been very good at keeping COVID out, currently we have around about 3,500 cases. There's been less than 100 deaths. So it's managed very well. And the reason why it's managed so well is because with such a large population and a developing infrastructure, it's very difficult for a destination like Vietnam to overcome and manage a situation if it were to get to a really bad situation. So the government's shut down very, very fast. And equally, I feel very safe because it's been one of those things where we've confined ourselves to stay within the country, and we've been working and pivoting towards working with the domestic market in order to survive, but also to keep the population safe as well. Within its population, we've got 54 ethnic minority groups, so that's really interesting from a cultural perspective across the landmass. And in terms of currency, the Vietnamese dong is valued at around about 23,000 dong to $1, which means that anyone traveling from the West will become a multi-million dong-aire as soon as they arrive into Vietnam. Let's move on to the next. So a few bits important bits you need to know. Ultimately, the best time to travel to Vietnam is following the Northern Hemisphere's weather, which is traveling in spring and traveling in autumn or fall if you happen to be in the US. So to escape from the winter in the Northern Hemisphere, you can arrive into Vietnam, you'll find cool, pleasant weather, which is also rain-free. So in terms of visas, when the borders are operating normally, you'll find that there are some nationalities that can access visa-free travel for up to 15 days. And typically, they are EU passport holders. E-visas are allowed from other nationalities. Visas upon arrival are also available for my team, as well as visa upon entry. So it really does depend, but right now our borders remain closed until further notice. So I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the presentation. So obviously, like any other country traveling in the world, passports also must be valid for at least 6 months worth of travel. So let's look at the map and review some of the popular destinations. There's a lot of cities that start with the letter H, as you can see. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down to the south. So starting with the capital city of Hanoi, and within close proximity, we also have Harlem Bay, Hue in central Vietnam, as well as Da Nang and Hoian, both also in central Vietnam. The southern metropolis of Ho Chi Minh City is the commercial capital, and you'll hear me refer to it as Saigon during the presentation, which is colloquially known as Saigon. So I'll be presenting our destination overview from the north down to the south. Before I do so, I just wanted to share a really quick video about a destination that's just on the outskirts of Hanoi. Here is a place called Ninh Binh, and I actually had Christmas here a couple of years ago with my family visiting from Australia. They came over, we decided to enjoy a nice northern cool climate Christmas, and here are some shots from that trip. So the reason why I wanted to share with you that image is a lot of people think of Vietnam as a tropical destination, but because it's such a long country, we do have 4 seasons. And so if you were to travel in the winter and you were traveling up towards the north, it's wise to bring some warmer clothes and expect some cooler climate. So let's start with the capital city of Hanoi. So it is a capital, and its population, while it's geographically, it's not a large city and it's not a high-rise city. It does have a large population of 8 million people. So it's known as the city of lakes because there are multiple numbers of lakes within Hanoi. And what you'll find is that the lakes do offer a level of tranquility when it comes to living around the space. As a city itself, it's over 1,000 years old, and its airport is approximately a 45-minute drive from the downtown center. So when we design itineraries, we recommend between 2 and 3 nights here in Hanoi. And the image that you're looking at is a picture of Hoan Kim Lake. So Hoan Kim Lake means the sword lake. And according to the legend of Le Loi, who is one of the greatest heroes of Vietnam, it's central to day-to-day Hanoi life. So anyone visiting Hanoi will come across this lake. And of course, visiting Hanoi, they'll come across Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum, which is in Ba Dinh Square. Other highlights for me, one of my favorites is the Temple of Literature. So this is a really old university. Nowadays, not operating as a university, but a dedicated museum and a place of worship. I love going here because it's very, very tranquil within a quite a rushed, busy city, as you can see from the lower picture. But from a MICE and a meetings point of view, it's a really great location where we can host private gala cocktail events, gala events. The grounds are really beautiful, and we can certainly privatize this location. On the opposite of the tranquility, you've got the old quarter, which is lots and lots of shops and markets and food. Street food is very, very popular here in Hanoi. So I highly recommend staying anywhere located in the French or the old quarter in Hanoi. And when it comes to accommodation, we're looking at 5-star level at being the Sofitel Legend Metropole, which you can see pictured. We've got newcomers to the market, which is incorporate the Capella in Hanoi, as well as the Melia, where a certain US president stayed recently, as well as the Apricot Hotel. We also have a wide number of preferred hotels within the 4- and 3-star range as well, but mainly we work within the 4- and 5-star onwards. So not far from Hanoi is Harlem Bay. So you've got around 2.5, maybe 3 hours, depending on traffic, to get there, or you can get to Harlem Bay by seaplane nowadays. So it is one of the 8 UNESCO World Heritage listed sites within Vietnam, sorry. And by far, it's definitely one of the most popular, eye-catching destinations. Harlem Bay itself is made up of 3 bays. So the neighboring bays of Ba Tu Long are less visited. In terms of visiting Halong Bay, the traditional way is to do a cruise. So you can do a full-day cruise if you're really time poor, or you can do a 1-night, 2-night, and sometimes 3 nights. But we recommend a 2-night stay at minimum in order to unpack, unwind, and observe the beautiful bay around you. I've got a clip that's coming up here about a new way of seeing Harlem Bay, and that is through helicopter. So for people who are really time poor, we can allow a visitor a bird's eye view of Harlem Bay. So that's got to be a little bit eye-catching for those people who have not been to Harlem Bay or Vietnam before. As a first-time visitor, I think it would be amazing to see Harlem Bay by helicopter. And nowadays, all of that is available. Um, so let's move on. Let's go to the next one. So from the north of Vietnam, we're moving down to central Vietnam. I'd like to introduce you to the former imperial capital city of Hue. The entire city itself is a UNESCO World Heritage listed site. And for those of you who have been to, let's say, the north of Thailand, to Chiang Mai, you're visiting a city that was once a former capital that is surrounded by a wall, which is like a moated city. So very much in a similar vibe to Chiang Mai. It was the capital and the royal capital up until 1945. So what's famous in Hue is its royal cuisine and the way that they present food. So here you've got over 1,000 different items of food. And traveling along Vietnam, you'll find that the food and the culinary exploration that's available is quite wide and varied. The tastes do vary. The pho that you find in Hanoi is different to the pho that you find in Saigon. So in terms of getting to Hue, we're looking at only a 20-minute drive to get to the airport. It is an international airport, so international flights do come and go from Hue. Not right now, but they will in the future. We recommend at minimum 2 nights, 3 if you can. It's a very, very lovely city. Here you've got an image of the Forbidden Citadel. And then the highlights include the Citadel, like I mentioned, originally built in 1805. Predominantly, this site was bombed during the Vietnam War. Here in Vietnam, and nowadays that we refer to the Vietnam War as the American War, but it is quite an amazing location and a site. You've also got many, many pagodas because the royal kings and emperors of Vietnam back then really worshipped religion. So some of the top resorts and hotels, we include Azurai La Residence. And Azurai, if you've not known this brand before, it's a new and emerging brand that was actually rolled out and developed by Adrian Zecker, the former founder of Aman Resorts. We also have other properties that focus on wellness. Around Hue, you've got a lot of wellness retreats, as well as hot mineral springs, the kind that you find in Japan, for example. And so here at the Alba Wellness Resort by Fusion, you've got a zip line where you can entertain yourself. You've got multiple mineral hot baths that you can immerse yourself in. Now, these are not located in the city center. You're looking at about a 16-kilometer drive from the city center. And towards the beach, you've also got the Ang Sana Leng Co property, which is famous for its golf course, as well as a multi-story hotel and resort facility, all integrated as a destination that includes golfing, 5-star luxury, and multiple dining options. So a really great option for families. As you drive from Hue to Hoian, you do go past amazing scenery. And this is just one of the scenic spots called the Hai Van Pass. In order to drive, you're looking at about a 3 to 4 hour journey overland. And like I mentioned, some of the most picturesque spots are available on this drive. One picturesque spot that I'm sure you'll recognize is the Golden Hands Bridge. Now, this bridge itself is a bridge that overlooks all of Da Nang. So from this bridge, which is part of a theme park style destination in itself called Bana Hills, our guides can take you up to the Golden Bridge en route or as a day trip, in order to have an image like this. Now, this is actually a picture that our team took during COVID. Because it's so quiet, there are less tourists. And so for a lot of domestic travelers right now, it is a great time to be exploring our own backyard. We then get to the famous town, an ancient town of Hoian. Again, a UNESCO heritage listed town, quite famous all around the world. It's accessed from Da Nang and its international airport. So around 40 minutes to an hour to get from Da Nang to Hoian. So in the 16th or 17th century, Hoian town was a fishing village, and it was also a trading port. And so what's important is that it was a trading port where Marco Polo stopped by. It was the beginning of the Silk Road from Asia's perspective. And this is where a lot of cultures collided. And so we've got influences from the Vietnamese, the French, the Chinese, and the Japanese throughout here. So a lot of people like to stay in Hoi An for roughly around about 3 to 4 nights. So within the ancient town itself, like I mentioned, this is a UNESCO heritage listed site. So it's all walking, no vehicles are allowed. You've got these lovely sampan boats that are available for guests to traverse the river on. And then you've also got some really lovely storehouses and shop houses of what they have here. Some of the best dining is available in Hoi An as well. The lower image is an image of the Japanese covered bridge. And what we've got is a quite a significant symbol that represented the diverse multiculturalism that was happening back then. So this bridge itself was the bridge that separated the Vietnamese from the Japanese who first immigrated to Vietnam all those years ago, all those centuries ago. I'm going to refer back to the Japanese covered bridge in a video that I've got to share for you a little bit later. So to talk about accommodation, some of the best accommodation is also available here in Hoi An and Da Nang. So one of our top choices includes the Four Seasons Nam Hai, excellent in terms of infrastructure, staffing. It's been one of the longest holding properties within the luxury sphere of Hoi An and Da Nang. We also have newcomers being the Hotel Royal and the M Gallery, which is run by Accor. We also have Anantara Resorts in Hoi An as well. So there are multiple accommodation choices, whether you've got a large group or a small group, it's all available within this central location. So like I mentioned, I wanted to highlight something that Luxperia has done before. And this was probably the last MICE event that we did pre-COVID. So it happened in 2019, where we blocked off a section of Hoi An Walking Town, and we converted it into a gala dinner for one of our top corporate clients who was traveling from at the Asia Pacific region. So I'll just play this video and you can see for yourself. So you can see for a private event like such, we often, quite often, bring in artisans and craftsmen, actors, extras, to build a storyline and a narrative that depicts the culture within Vietnam. So quite often we would decide on a location for an offsite dinner, and then we would determine the catering and the entertainment needs of the group within any set budget. So in Cambodia, it's been done with temples. In Laos, it's been done within rainforests. So yeah, it really does depend on the level of creativity that's available from the guests and the client. Let's head to the commercial capital of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. So here we've got the largest city and home to 10 million people in one city. It's where I've called home for the past 10 years. In fact, my 10-year anniversary is coming up next month, and I can't believe that the time has just passed so fast. But within that time, what I've noticed is that as a destination, the development here is just happened so fast as well. There are some colonial touches to the city, but you've got a lot of modernity that's happened here as well. So it becomes a popular hub since it is an international trading city. A lot of the international airlines are flying in and out of Saigon and Hanoi, the capital city. But on the outskirts, you've got Kuchi Tunnels and you've got the Mekong Delta, and we recommend at least 2 to 3 nights here as well. So you can easily design a 10 night to 2 week destination visit to Vietnam quite easily. Some of the highlights, the retro looking building that you see on the left hand side is the Independence Palace, which was actually rebuilt, built in the 60s. And it's also a historical landmark because this is where the Vietnam War ended, basically. It signified the fall of Saigon back in 1975. You can also see the Notre Dame Cathedral in the lower image, which has remnants of French colonialism and a modern city emerging in the background. Here you've got, it's named Notre Dame because actually, here's a fun fact, Gustave Eiffel, who is famous for the Eiffel Tower, is the gentleman who designed Saigon as a city. And so here in Saigon, we have districts very much like Paris that intertwine and wrap around the central area. Some of the highlights on the outskirts of Saigon include the Mekong Delta, which is otherwise known as the rice bowl and the feeding bowl of Vietnam, where a lot of the country's produce is grown. Very, very important as an agricultural area for Vietnam. And traveling from from Saigon to the Delta, you can go by boat or by car as well nowadays. Not far from the Delta are the Kuchi Tunnels, which is quite historic for war enthusiasts. So around about 2 hours drive, you can visit by car or by boats, or I like to go by speedboat, or you can go by both. Sometimes we like to combine a speedboat journey along the river, going down to the Kuchi Tunnels, and then we meet up after the experience with a jeep to travel back to Saigon. So the Kuchi Tunnels itself, quite an amazing network of tunnels that traverse the underground around here, and basically one of the key reasons how the Northern Army actually won the war. So quite an interesting history lesson. Nowadays widened for a lot of Western bodies to travel in. Some of the key hotels, we do have some of the large hotel brand names in Saigon. The Park Hyatt remains one of the top hotels, top city hotels, I would say, which is pictured on the right. We also have independent hotels called the Caravel, the New World Hotel, also super luxury properties that I have not written down here include the Reverie, as well as up and coming and emerging new properties as well. In terms of 4 and 3 star properties, quite a vast range of properties, but usually the 3 and 4 star properties tend to be more boutique in style. So now that we've seen a lot of Vietnam through this presentation, let me ask the question of what's beyond. So, of course, there are a lot of tropical highlights and sites within Vietnam itself. And some of the islands that I'd like to mention include Phu Quoc Island, Con Dao, as well as Quy Nhon, which you may refer to on the map as being part of central Vietnam, a coastal town which is arising quickly as a top spot, as well as the Central Highlands, where people like to escape from the heat. But in terms of Phu Quoc Island, I'd like to highlight as Vietnam's first visa-free destination. And by visa-free, it means that anyone arriving in and leaving from Phuket, Phu Quoc, not Phuket, can actually stay there visa-free nowadays. Now, they're testing the numbers by vaccinating the entire island first and allowing vaccinated travelers to enter in and out of Phu Quoc shortly. We're still waiting for a date to be announced, but that's the plan before the remainder of Vietnam opens up for international travelers. So these are the contact details for Luxperia, our head office, located in Ho Chi Minh City. Our email's fairly simple. It's welcome@luxperia.com. And you can access any of our destinations across Asia through that email. You can also follow us online through our Facebook page, our Twitter, and also our Instagram, which is Luxperia_DMC, or @Luxperia for Twitter, and facebook.com/Luxperia. So let's move into some COVID facts to wrap up the presentation today. So far, we've got around about 13,500 cases, 14,000 cases, 5,500 have recovered, and right now we've got about 69 deaths. Like I mentioned earlier, the way that the government here in Vietnam has handled the situation has been very proactive, quite strict, quite conservative, but it's led to other people, many people like myself, feeling quite safe here. To date, we're not ready to open up to the Western world because right now we are undergoing a bit of a semi-lockdown in terms of seeing a fourth wave. It will be our second time that we've been in lockdown since April last year. But at the moment, the Vietnamese government are looking at providing a 7-day quarantine for anyone that is vaccinated. We recommend when booking, obviously it's important with so many moving parts to Vietnam, to book through a trusted destination management company. And through us, you can access a lot of our preferred hotels, which do act in a COVID safe environment nowadays. We also have a lot of emerging villa product that is available. So like I mentioned, in the future of post-COVID, visas will stay. People will need a visa to enter into Vietnam if they're staying longer than 14 nights, 15 days for European passport holders. And of course, vaccine declarations will be required for anyone traveling into Vietnam. From my point of view, I believe that the borders are looking prospectively to reopen by about February, March of 2022 to be safe. Other commonly asked questions, I might open up to the floor and answer some of the questions. Joe, any questions from you?
No, that was really good actually, really informative. It kind of really given us a really good overview of Vietnam and what's happening at the moment. It's made me want to be on holiday and be in Vietnam as well. So I'm really jealous that you're there. Yeah, looks amazing.
We're lucky that we're here because we have such a large breadth of country that allows us to travel from the mountains to the beach within a day.
Wow.
And so we can travel by road, we can travel by rain. We have some excellent new rail product that's available for travelers, much more smaller groups in terms of luxury. We've got a train carriage that can allow for 12 guests to travel in luxury.
Fantastic.
So yeah, there's a lot to play with. And in terms of development and construction, Vietnam's not stopped. In fact, Vietnam's the very first country within ASEAN that actually had a positive GDP last year.
Oh, wow.
And so we're very, very pleased to be able to report that things haven't stopped here. Commerce continues.
That's brilliant.
And we have to roll along with it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic to hear that though, isn't it? Especially over the last 18 months being quite volatile across the world. But hopefully, so what are you kind of predicting for when are you going to be opening up again? I know you said that you're going through a fourth wave at the moment and lockdown.
Yeah.
Are you kind of envisaging for like, predicting for like 2022
Look, really,
January?
No, not January even. Here in Vietnam, we work with the spiritual Buddhist calendar. And so the end of the Lunar New Year will happen in February. So I expect that hopefully by March we can reopen.
Wow.
We are open for sale. So if anyone's looking at traveling, by all means, it will be. It's a real highlight and motivation for myself and the team when we get inquiries for 2022 because we're still working.
Yeah,
and
no,
so,
good.
You know, we can actively design and work on your requests during this time.
No, absolutely. I think you're hit the nail on the head, really. I think that's across the globe at the moment. I think everybody's kind of aiming for first quarter of 22. So this year is kind of planning now for the rest of the year for activity for kind of quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 of 2022, and 23 is already kind of booming. So I think everyone's looking forward and not kind of looking backwards, which is really positive. So fingers crossed we'll kind of, by the end of this year, come out the other end and 22 and 23 will go absolutely crazy. So that's what we're all hoping for. But it is looking really positive. Like we're seeing a lot of kind of requests coming in now as well for like 22, 23, for like Europe and kind of the Middle East, for Africa, Morocco. So hopefully that's kind of like for the UK, that's like 4 hours out. So by the end of the year, it'll be like kind of going further afield. So I think we'll get there. It's all positive, it's all going in the right direction. So it's moving, which is good to hear.
Good. All right.
No, fantastic. But
well, Joe, thank you so much for allowing me the time and the platform.
No, thank you. We will have this on the website as well, and on our YouTube for anybody to kind of replay back and kind of listen to. So it's great information, and I will kind of share it as well. But no, thank you so much, Lynn. But I'll catch up with you soon. Albert, if you've got any questions, do let us know. But thanks for joining us, and we will catch up with you soon. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Lynn.
Very much.
Have a great day.
Have a great day ahead.
Bye. Bye.